Hey, Jamie. How are you doing? Doing all right? Meh. Meh, meh. There we go. Oh, nice. Good. I'm glad. Glad it helps. Glad it helps. Let me... I just need to figure out how to rotate this, and then get going. I was trying to start on time today. Hey, Clara. How are you doing? This is the most ghetto setup. But I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get it. All right. There. Well, apparently. You're in a sour mood today, Clara. Was Clara in a sour mood yesterday? Transform. How do we rotate this? Let me just rotate. Rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. I think I'll do that. Nope. Undo. Counterclockwise. That should have worked. Or I might have accidentally hit clockwise. Let me check. Counterclockwise, that's what I want. There we go, that's what I need. Okay. I'm gonna bring this down just a little bit here. Elongate it, and then I'll switch it up some. Just go out further. I think that's it. Okay. There, and then I'll just move this. It needs to go closer in, or actually I can just move the camera up some. I'd say about right there, just a little bit. All right, I think we got it for the most part. I'll be kind of shadowing over it when I go to paint here, when I go to mix, and so hopefully you guys will be able to see that. Maybe I put this in front. Pear. Come on, go up. Go up. There we go. And then I'll bring the pear up some. Bring this, enlarge this just a little bit. This right there. Yeah. All right. Looks pretty good, and let's see if I can, maybe I'll zoom it in just a little bit. Right there. That looks good. All right, and then I can just move this over some. Like right there, that's fine, that's okay. That's the top, that's the bottom. That's pretty good. Okay, we'll go with that for now. Awesome. So Claire, I'm actually going to do a Well, I think I'm going to do a video. I was actually clipping some of the stuff that we were talking about yesterday, and I'm going to really cut it short because I did a lot of thinking out loud. I'm just going to get more straight to the point in the video, but about the tracing and such. And I don't know if I'm going to do a skit or anything for it. I might do something. I'm not sure. And again, I'm not going to promise. I'm going to try to get something out tomorrow, even though I got one out last week. But this is like, we were talking about it yesterday, so I have most of the beef of everything. I just need to cut it up and then make it a little bit more entertaining than it is. And essentially I just need to edit it. And so we'll see how I do editing today, but we'll do a nice video on it. I'm going to try to, tracing and why it's bad or something. This is on public, right? Yeah. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be here. All right, there it is. All right, here we go. Sour mood a few weeks ago. First video recorded yesterday. Wait, I did get my first video record. I'm not going into it in this. Wait, are you going to YouTube, Jamie? She was last week. I've been excited about that, regardless of when it was my turn. I have a bowl of M&Ms by me, so I should be okay. Quildar, what's up, man? This will be in and out. That's totally fine. All right. I have this. Let me just set up a system where I can put this. Maybe I can just leave it here. That's really iffy, though. That's not going to work. I'm trying to figure out where to place my phone because my setup's a little bit different. Block the camera if I do that. Screw it, I'll just paint it from this angle. Okay, cool. Know what I'm doing. This is Alla Prima, and we're going to go with the limited palette. I could, it would be easier, I think, if I did, blue, ultramarine blue, but I'm just going to go with, we got ivory black, cadmium red, and then yellow ochre, Creminence white mixture between the cadmium red and the yellow ochre. And so that is what we're going with. Yes. See if I can do this. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Ow. It kind of works. Yeah. It's cool. Let's do that. Getting an easel for my phone so I can actually look at the speech straight on. And I think we're good. All right. I'm going to turn it into a video. That's what I said I was going to do. Got paint all over myself. Claire, I'm going to turn tracing stuff into a short video, and I think it's going to have to be pretty short as well because for obvious reasons. This actually might even fall. Now I'm not going to be blocking it. Okay, here we go. Palette knife, palette knife, palette knife. Where did I put Is that for here? It's on my palette. What do you know? What do you know? All right, so I am mixing this warm here. Now, it is a green cloth in the background, but you know, the opposite of green is red. And it's so dark in the background that I'm just going to make it a little bit more heated so that the pear will stand out a little bit more, especially close to the actual pear itself. And I'm also going to mix a darkest dark green as well. And I'll just do that right here. And it's ideally you want cadmium, but all we have is we're going limited palette. So I'm just going to put in the yellow ochre instead. Now, yellow ochre will make it a little bit cloudier, and that's okay. It's all right. This is okay. A little bit cloudier. There we go. Now, that is more of the greenish. Now, you might be saying, well, this, I don't know if y'all can really see that well. Yeah, you can see it, and it looks a little bit green. It's not that green, but the way that you can get it looking more green is to put something red beside of it. And I'm not going to put any red in this. And I'll contrast it when it's on the painting, and it'll actually make it a little bit more green. Now let me get a little bit more ivory black really quick. To the mirror though. Get some more ivory black. I thought I had enough, but I don't need more. It's good to have a lot of paint. It's good to have a lot of paint. There we go. All right. That. And then we're just going to go get progressively lighter as we go. We're just making greens here. This is pretty light. Let me switch something up here. Back here. I'm just going with straight green for now. There we go. So, this is like, I might not be able to do this just because that pear that I have is pretty green. But like I said, I actually might be able to create the illusion of this being greener than it actually is. Because these colors really, in the scheme of things, are not that green. They're not that green. But let's see if we can trick the eye into thinking that they are, because we're placing like reds beside of them in the background. We can use the background to make it look even more green, to compensate. I don't know if y'all have ever like just stared at something red for a long time and then afterwards everything looks very green, and that happens because your eye's starting to compensate for the excessive amount of red. And like the contrast afterwards is just stunning, you know, like you look and but here we go. I'm going to do one more with pure color here, and just a little bit. You know, I don't know. That might actually still, that might be too, I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what we got here. You know what? Why don't I do this? I'm just going to start adding a little bit of white to this. Just a little bit of white right there. Lighten it up some. There we go. So again, I might not be able to get this one, guys. This is more of an experiment, okay? I don't mind messing up on stream. I really don't. I do not mind. I don't mind messing up. I might not be able to do this, right? But, I mean, I could definitely, look, if I added, even just adding some ultramarine blue to get that would make it so much easier. It really would. But I like these exercises because it helps really push forward our painting abilities. A little bit more here. Just want a little bit more of a difference. And let's just go in with some straight white. We'll take a substantial amount here. Here we go. Let's darken it just a little bit. But not too much. That's a good color right there. We're not using any reds. We're not using any red. Normally, you kind of want to use some reds. Let's get some more white. In fact, I'll take the rest, and then I'll just get more white. Because I don't want to have to continuously mix. And then I'll check chat in a second. I'm not sure you guys are saying that much right now, but there we go. Just mixing these colors. So I'm going from dark to light, and this is just yellow and black. This is limited palette, right? This is how they actually taught us. I'm going to try to make that greener than it is. We'll see. We'll see if I can do it. I might not be able to. This might come out looking like pure crap. You know what though? One of my things that I always try to say though, because people mess up and there's this idea that, oh, people, if you're good, you get it, you get it. You don't always get it. And the people who are good know how to take a win out of screwing something up. They're like, okay, I've learned this, I learned this, I learned this. I got practice here, I got practice here. You know what? I could have done it, but I just didn't do this right. And that's a win. That really is. You have to look at it that way. Because, you know, be tomorrow and you can do another paint. This is going to be a quick study because I do want to get to the video work. You know, that's kind of how I look at this. Confidence is key, Lewis. Confidence is key. Oh, I have the confidence. Trust me, I probably have an overabundance of it. If you streamed last night, we're in the entire collection of schminky watercolors. We're being swatched. It was long stream, but it was fun to watch and chat. They have beautiful colors, really fucking cool, awesome. All right, let's get some more yellow. I mean, white. That's white. All right. This is going to be interesting. And then we're just going to do a white, if I can figure out where I put the palette knife. Right here. Sweet. Like these colors are really, really, really dull. If you guys can tell this. You know what? Let me try to do something really quick. Maybe I can prop this up with something, maybe a book, something, I don't know. I want to prop it up so you guys can see it a little bit clearer. I'm not sure if this will work. Let me see if this works. Let me see if I can do this. I think that y'all can see that a little bit better, right? I think so. Let's do that, and then I'll just rotate this. That way you can see the colors a little bit better. So as you can tell, those colors are very grayed out. All right, they're very grayed out. That's okay. I'm not gonna worry as much about getting the background. Quote. I'm not gonna worry as much about the background. Not as much. A little bit of this. Okay. We'll see how this goes. That's essentially just use that to lighten up some. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Get a little bit of oil here. And with a warmer value, we're just going to go into this is black and red. All right. And let's just go through and mark these points here. Let's bring it down some. I always like it when it's like down a little bit more. Rembrandt would put like objects down here and then it would be like all dark up top, kind of like that. I like doing that stuff. There we go. Take that off. Let's bring it over. We need to bring it over that way some. So good, I'm so smart. Better than everybody. Smart. That's why they're watching my stream, because I know more than everybody. I'm so smart. People are jealous of me. Quildar, I really like that that intro that you made. I really do. Okay, so I'm kind of making this a little bit bigger. I'm so smart. I wouldn't need a video analyzing Rembrandt. I wouldn't mind a video analyzing Rembrandt. Yeah. Sec, Quildar. Write this stuff. I've been writing down little suggestions. Give me a sec. Where did I put it? I'll just, oh, here's this. There was a camera lens. That's all right. It's okay. Where's the other sticky thing? I had a whole chunk of them. Okay. I'm so smart. Okay. Here we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going in with a little bit of medium, just a little bit, but not much, just a slight bit. I'm going to add a little bit more red than I probably should. And I'm going to also put quite a bit of red kind of close up to the pear. All right, so this is nice and warm here, but like around this area, I'm going to put more red. And I think y'all understand why. This is just straight paint right here. Straight. Let's get this on really quick. Look how good I am. There we go. This might be too much. Okay, and I'm going to check, actually, I think I probably need to mess with the camera and switch the filter on it. I think I probably do. There we go. I made this like excessively red around here. Obviously. It'll give it a nice glow in the light. It's like, this is how you get glow if you get like really red, but you can overdo it too. So you kind of have to fade it, and it's almost like very subtle. Okay, so mix it with this paint up in here. Let's be a little bit expressive with it. You know, there are no rules in art, you know? There are no rules. That's why I like this. We can just do whatever we want. There you go. Down in here. I'm gonna push the red. La red. Today I'm doing a frazzetta studies. What is that? Queldor should be doing the stream, not me. What is a frazzetta study, Codario? Codario. Che cos'è frazzetta studio, eh? Codario, eh? See? No? And let's fade it. This is gonna be kind of darker here. It's like that. I'm just gonna block this in. Okay, there we go. It's kind of bulbous there. We can bring that down. Don't worry. This is all by design. This is all intentional. Look how good I am. All right, let me, that color's not bad. I'm gonna adjust the filter on it, so because I have to put some paint down, and then I adjust the filter on the screen so you guys can actually see them. Let me actually adjust, son of a bitch. All right, I fixed the view. Just kidding. Stupid. I have it literally on the side. We're gonna bring this up. I'll refocus it. Nobody panic. Stop panicking. This thing is moving. Okay, I'm just gonna stop it there. Stop. Now, my head is kind of, no, we're good. Get it a little bit sharper right there. Now, I need to really lean in on this. Select the Canon M50, go to frickin' filters, edit filters. Now, with my head, I'm like right up against the screen. We're gonna mess with the gamma. I can't tell the difference. Is that doing anything? Wait a second. It's not doing anything because I've selected the wrong one. Wait. Color correction. Oh shit. Okay, wait. That's I'm aware that that's incorrect. Give me a sec. We're just trying to brighten this up some for you peasants. And then it's too much saturation. I am aware of this. Get off my back. I know I made it too saturated. Wait. What is it? Actually, is this close to that? Let's see how it looks on stream. Not good. It needs to be brighter. Contrast. We reduced the, no, that made it really bad. Let's up it a little bit. Shit. Wait, that's actually a little bit closer. Let me reduce it just a little bit. Okay, we'll say that, and then I'm gonna up. Damn it. I'll make it a little bit brighter. Okay, we'll do that. That looks good. I think that's relatively close to how it is in reality. Okay. Now, where's my palette knife? It's right here. I'm gonna get my trusty, where's my mirror? It's in my pocket. Where's my brush? Okay, we're back. Chat. Frank Frezzata was a fantasy illustrator, painter. I'll have to check him out. What type of stuff did he do? Also, if I was smart, I would have probably put a white, in fact, I'm gonna do that. And since I am an expert painter, I'm just gonna put it right over this. Boom! That's as dark as light as I can go. And then this is as dark as I can go, watch. Boom! Nailed it. Let's go through and just mix this. I'm gonna have to get more ivory black. All right. Awkwardly holding my brush and the paper towel in my left hand, but I am extremely coordinated. Go. All right, see, ideally I would switch these two colors. I would put this over here, but then I'd have to wipe it down because I really don't want any red in this, because the reason why I put this here is because you have the greens there. But like I said, I'm a professional, I'm an expert, I'm a genius, so I can adjust to this little setback, if you want to call it that. Now, let's get some more ivory black. And we're getting the ivory. Frankfurt set. Camille, you stupid bot. YouTube. You're not a small indie company. Do something. Carmine, ciao Carmine. Il nostro amico d'Italia. How's it going, man? Doing all right? Il nostro amico. Carmine pericoloso con I colori. Un genio, si può dire. Sì. Un genio. All right, all right. All right. Now, that shape is really incorrect. So let's fix it. Let's fix it. Let's fix this. Let's fix it. It's too much. Like that. Okay. There. Now, guys, I am aware, okay, that this is really red. But I think you guys kind of understand what I'm doing. I'm trying to do, okay, I might actually make this green down here. I'm not quite sure. We can make this look pretty. It doesn't matter right now. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Get off my back. It doesn't matter. Let's see. How does it look for you guys? Let's see. If I do this, I'm trying to see how it looks good on the stream for y'all if I go down like this. Okay, so that takes the glare away for you guys. So I'm gonna, it kind of takes it away from me as well. So I'm gonna go down like this so you can actually see it better. I'm just taking the brush stroke out from diagonal, and we can better see it that way. So notice, at first sometimes I'll put a little bit of medium in just to, which you don't really have to, honestly, but I do that just to get it in the brush. There we go. There we are. There we are. I have to make that little happy brush stroke up every once in a while. Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. I said bring it down. There we go. There we are. All right. Okay, okay, we're good, we're good. Now, what I am going to do, that is extremely red. Extremely red. The bots are out early today. Car drama. Who is on your back? A flying monkey? No luck, Clara. Clara, what type of car drama are we talking about? That shape is totally off, but we will obtain it. All right, so let's see. Let me take. Actually, that was a bad move. Let me take. This is fine. Take what I can get here. This. See how dark this goes. See, that's pretty green, but it's probably going to be a little bit up here. This is going to come over some. I'm going to take some brush, saturate it here, work the shadow shape. It's going to be significantly blacker. It's almost going to be black. Yeah, that's actually good too. All right. Just trying to get the big basics, right? Big basics, that's what we want. Just want the basics. Now, so like, I'm doing this really quick and impressionistic, right? Like, I'm kind of just throwing it down and mixing on it, but you don't need to. You can also, you can go more specific. Like, I've seen videos where they go through and place it, and maybe I'll do one like that like later or something, because that's totally viable as well. There's nothing wrong with doing that's actually a nice way of doing it as well. It's more organized than this, but I like kind of mixing it up and making it a little bit brushier at the same time. I like doing that, but just getting these things in. I'm going to go with the brush strokes going this way so we can see it. All right. See what's going on here, hopefully. And I'm just worrying about getting the impression, the drawing and stuff, the values. The color, you know, here's the thing. If this does not come out like the colors that we want, if I push it as far as I can, maybe I go into it with some, maybe I add some blue. Maybe I do that. I can do whatever I want with this. I'm going to swing this up. I'm going to actually bring some of this up into it right there, darken that part. Here, that actually comes up a little bit. And then the same values probably around here, but it's going to be a little bit warmer. Cross, switch. And this is kind of cool. We're going to take this color here, a little bit of here, exaggerate it some. Yeah. To fade it, sometimes I'll kind of use the side and kind of pull it down. That's kind of the technique I use. Drawing's really off. Doesn't matter though, whatever. Do I care? No. Got that, and then let me do this. I'm gonna go back in with, get a little bit bigger brush. This works right here. All right. Just a little bit of oil just to saturate the brush a little bit. I'm gonna wipe some of it out. And I'm gonna go with, say this color right here. Which might actually be too light. I'm gonna add a little bit of dark. It's reflection, so I can't really see what I'm doing. It's not good. Here, let's kind of add this in down here. Shape the shadow, just block this in. There we go. I'll pull this over that way, so. Okay. So here's the thing. I think this is so green that the only way to get this is to be lighter here. I think the only way to get it, and I'm kind of pushing that red out of the way. So the only way to get that is to really add some other colors. But you know what? Let me try to push this a little bit more than I have, okay? In doing that, I'm gonna try to fix the values up some. All right? So we don't need to, this doesn't need to be perfect right off the bat. I'm working very impressionistic at first. Honestly, this is too dark. But I have a strategy for it. I'm just being very conscientious about like the impression, about fixing the drawing up, all these things. All right, but this is a nice like start to it. Let's put it that way. So let's bring. Okay, y'all will see the reflected light here, but I'm going to get rid of that in a second. Nobody panic. I'm looking at this negative shape. I'm going to get this, and then simply, if you want to take it out, see that. That angle here, actually a little bit less, and then it cuts in like that, but more with the background. This is coming out. There's a line going across like that, and then it breaks in there. Okay, and then this top part, there's this thing happening up top. Reflection out, step back, chip away at that, dip this down some, put that piece in a second. It is important to actually get that stem in at some point. I'm going to soften this edge just a little bit, soften, not take it out. I think what we'll do, so here's the thing. As y'all can tell, this, I'm sure you probably can tell. Let me see how it looks on the stream. It's a little bit milky. But what we did do, we have a basic light impression, which is kind of nice. And in fact, let me try to push it just a little bit. We got kind of the highlight area. I'm just gonna add a touch of oil, but I'm gonna look forward, like look ahead. And if I put too much oil on this, it's gonna make it a little bit like hard to work on later. Let me go back, actually add something else first. Let's just put this piece in. I forgot, like this, the canvas underneath is showing, or the board rather, so this is coming down. Set yourself up for the highlight. And then we're gonna come back in kind of with a basic highlight. And I'm assuming this is kind of close. Yeah, that's kind of close. Right, you've been squinting down, kind of compressing the values, so we still can push. Obviously, we can push very light. That's why we put this piece of light there. Now, I also compare this to the Pear that I see in reality. In fact, let me show you guys this really quick. So I'm not going off of a photograph for this. I forgot to tell you. This is my setup. Oh, damn it. I swear, every single time I mess this up. All right, here we go. I have it set up right there. So I'm actually looking at it. So this is what I say. I just took a picture for you guys, obviously. There we go. And we have this set until the next time I kick it. Okay. Another bot. So I think, guys, you know what we could do? We got a nice block in. It didn't take forever with this. There's going to be a couple of things we can do, and this is kind of a good lesson. And I can look. Before I do it, I'll fix the drawing up a little bit. And I'm not going to worry about color. I'm going to worry more about value this time, okay? Let's worry about a little bit more value. So I'm not going to worry about color. So I'm actually taking a little bit more straight black and adding it into this part right here. Okay, just a little bit more, because I'm going to darken this some. And it still is going to be mixing, because it's going to be mixing with the black underneath, or I'm sorry, the red. Because I put a substantial amount. Then I'm going to take this same color right here, and I'm actually going to bring it up here, right? So it's different from how I normally do things, but look, it's pushing that value. And it's good to know how to do this. And this is this is still going to be green here, but what this does, it's going to push this light forward some, which is quite nice. I saved this part for last because it is a little bit lighter, and then I'm going to bring some of that light over here. I'm going to work this bottom edge some, but I'm doing downward strokes so that it takes some of that reflection away that you guys are seeing more than myself, I think, with this. There, and I'm just squinting down, and I'm thinking just like in pencil, these soft edges, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I'm taking some of this down into it. And am I worrying about the color? No. But what I'm doing, I'm actually smoothing it out. I'm actually kind of pulling it up some onto my brush because I'm trying to thin it out just a little bit. And now I'm really working on the shadow edges, the drawing of it just a little bit to get an impression better than I had it before. All right, so that's what I'm doing. And let's fix actually what's going to really help this is this shadow area down here. So I'm going to come into it with a value somewhere around here. And again, I'm not going to worry about color, and you'll see why in a second, because I'm actually going to add blue and maybe some cadmium yellow, but now I can really focus on this. We got an impression, see? So we can kind of be loose about this, but then this kind of cuts up some. I'm scooping it up. And you know sometimes like when you paint and you have this edge that's kind of blended, it's a cross between the green and the red. You can just go back over that with another solid brush color like I've shown y'all before. But like what you don't want to do if you're having a hard time is just to constantly keep on going in. You want to go back to the palette at that point, right? So there we go. And so now we can start shaping this stuff. So I'm not worried about color. I'm just, at this point, we got it in fast. We got it in fast so I can see, like we covered everything. We have it keyed up and you can see light values if you want. Now I'm just worrying about the drawing. So the drawing, it needs some work. Fine, we'll fix it. Not a big deal. I'm not worrying about the color right now. We can push that later, but I'm putting this on, and when I put it on, I'm putting straight paint on. Like I said, I'm putting it on thin and kind of pulling it, because I know that I'm going to be putting other paint on top of it. All right, so I'm more worried, I guess, with how light it is or how dark it is at the moment. All right? Okay. How light or dark it is at the moment. So, since I'm going to be darkening this background, I'm just going to come in really with a little bit, like a really, that's red and black, but I'm really adding some black and just adding a touch of the red. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go through and just push this down into it some. And you're going to see, first off my shoulder, you're going to see this kind of get, you know, like that reflection that I keep on showing you guys. But you get the brush reflection. I'll take that out in a second. But I'm just going to continuously shape this down just a little bit. This comes out some. Just trying. I might not get the like total drawing of this. Gosh, okay. I'll myself some. I'll raise that camera up a little bit. Okay. Bring this down some. All right. And then let's go back in with a dark. Kind of the dark here. Dark. Bring it over here. Step back and squint. And I'm going to take this same value and just bring it across here and add on a little bit here to it because it's popping out just a little bit. Now this is just like, I'm not like really worried about the drawing too much at this point. This is, paint on the palette as if you're looking at clouds in the sky and see shapes. That's pretty creative, actually. Let's go. this color right here very thinly, and I'm just going to add a little bit more light into this area right here. All right, and then I don't want it to gray out or get muddy, so I'm going to go back to the palette, clean the palette, and what I'm doing, I'm pressing the paint on, but I'm pulling some off at the same time to keep it nice and fine. Now, if I keep doing this, you'll start seeing some like splotches up at the top, but it's not that bad actually. So I'm squinting down right now. I'm not really staring at right here. I'm staring, like I'm looking right here, and I'm squinting at the same time, thinking about this shape as I do this right here. That's what I'm doing, right? We're always talking about that, seeing, you know, doing, I guess this isn't really detailed, but working on small things, but seeing the whole thing at the same time as you do it expands your mind. So we're just constantly, you know, keeping an eye on the whole thing all at once. Let me bring this down. I'll bring this down just a little bit because it is too long. Like I see a lot with this. See, but I mean, look, this type of stuff. Damn. Okay, I basically cut this in. I'm going to move the camera in a second. I cut that down like that, okay? And then let's do this here. I'm going to have to move the camera. And then I move this down. The reason why I'm coming this way, not this way, is because it'll be like you're catching the underside of the brush, and it's going to make more of a transition, which is why I transition doing that. But like if you want to cut into it and make a sharp edge, you push it down like a point and kind of scoop off this area right here. And that's how you can have clean strokes with paint. You know, like that's already there. And I kind of do this thing, wipe it off some. Wait, there's this color right here. I'm doing really dark. And then let's go through and get this part right here. Try to get out the way so you guys can see it. All right, so something like that, something like that. We won't work on this all day because I mainly just want to get an impression. Now I'll go through and take these brush strokes away best I can. There we go. There we are. So still transparent. This is still transparent back here. And just because I painted it thick doesn't mean it needs to remain thick. You don't always need to scrape it down. You can kind of take it, brush it, pull it, and it gets up into the brush like that, and then you just go up here and kind of wipe it off. But that's how you keep it nice and smooth and clean in the back. Now, let us add some color here. Let's get some color, because I think, honestly, and I'm looking at the screen, it's pretty faithful to what I put up there, like the feed. Let me add some, I tell you what, here's what I want to do. I want to add both ultramarine blue and cadmium. But why don't I just add ultramarine blue at first and see if I can push and get the color that I want. And then if I need to, because I've pushed those greens as far as I can. All right, with that limited palette. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally viable. And really, what would push it forward more is the drawing, but you know, this is a good lesson in color as well. And let's see, just by adding some ultramarine blue, what this does, all right? And I'll simply, let's see, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Maybe I should just, I'll just add some in as I go, I guess, right? Or I'm going to do this. I'm going to add, actually, let's do this. Add a little bit here. So this is going to be a totally different color. I bet you I can get the colors that I want with this, to be truthful. I think I can. I'll just make some basic colors down here, and I'll mix between. So I'm going to still try to get this without using cadmium yellow, which I think I can, except for the dark. The dark, like this part right here, would really benefit from cadmium yellow, but let's see if I can still get the illusion of it. I'm aware that it's very blue. Let's go through and get this and put more of that in. Let's not get that white in there yet, but I'll take that for the next color. So this is nice and green, so y'all can kind of see the difference here. All right. All this paint here, you know, I can turn these into flesh tones if I want later on for other projects that I'm doing. I do have a project where I'm using flesh tones. I have them mixed out for the most part. It's a small painting, so don't need a lot. But those are pretty good colors. That's a little bit on the blue side, but we can negate it with that. And then let's go through and do this. We don't need as much. Let's take some of this. Some of this. Probably shouldn't have taken that because it has black, but it doesn't have a lot of black because it's in the light section right there. So I think probably I'll have more problems in the lights and the darks. I will with the midtones, but let us see. This is more pure color right here. This might actually work a little bit better. Yeah, it's kind of more what I wanted. A little bit more colorful, slightly more colorful. So this is a good lesson in you know, just adding one color. This totally changes everything right here, and we can still use the same tricks that we were using before. All right, let's work with this for a second and see how it does, and then we can add cadmium if we want. I know that's too blue, but we'll fix that, don't worry. There we go. All right, here we go. I'll wipe the brush off a little bit, just get some of this grayed out color, because that is a little bit grayed out for what I want. I'm gonna come here, and I'll have to get probably a little bit more, get a little bit more yellow. Out right here. So the next step is cadmium yellow if this doesn't work, which I think I can come close with this, but I think I'll probably need to use cadmium yellow. But again, this is how we test the colors. This is how we learn about colors, right? And it's okay if you can't get it like exactly. It's okay. The main things are the drawing. It's the drawing, the light impression. If that's correct, it's going to look way better. This is actually working. I like this. This is quite nice. Now in fruit, it's like very pure color, a lot of it. A lot of this is very pure color. And that's something to keep in mind, especially like in flowers. And you'll have them grayed out some. They'll be great. Let me move this camera up just a little bit, guys, so that, because I feel like I'm about to block it with my shoulder, so I'm just gonna raise the camera up some, put it in an angle, and that actually too might help the reflection. I'm gonna try not to kick it this time, however. Raise this up. Hopefully that does not fall. Bring this down some. That actually does help the reflection some too, I think. Okay. That's a little bit better. And let me make sure that it's focused okay. I think it is, but I just want to... Okay, I think that's actually a little bit better right there. Okay, there you go. All right, let's try that. Now, I'm essentially using 5 brushes right now. This is a light green. This is a medium light green to a lighter dark green. So I'm using like a couple values in between each brush here. This is my dark warm brush with red. This is my dark green brush, and this is like the kind of still a dark green, but a little bit lighter. So it'd be like in terms of greens from darkest to lightest. And then I have my red brush right here. All right, okay. And then we have our trusty paper towel. That's all I have. Palette knives on the side. There we go. Okay. Okay, that's better, I think. There we go. Now we can go through. I'm doing downward strokes because I think it's easier for y'all to see them. Here. And now we can start kind of shaping it. And I'm squinting down, I'm thinking, get the light impression, fix the drawing. Get the light impression, fix the drawing. That's what I'm thinking. Get the light impression, fix the drawing. Lewis is better than Quellar. That's what I'm thinking, okay? That's what I'm thinking. I'm always thinking this, right? You have to learn to see the truth. There we go. And so, just working with some of this color here. That blue really gives it a nice little kick, right? A nice little kick. Quellar, when you watch these streams, are you working at the same time? Are you? I think you do, right? Like you kind of paint or do something at the same time. Here we go. See, this is grayed out in here, and that's okay. That's okay. I say that's okay, but inside I'm like, damn it. Just kidding. I expected that. I didn't expect it this much. I thought I'd be able to push it a little bit more. To be honest with all of you. So there's almost some dark that we can get. Okay, let's see how this works. This might be a little bit too. Actually, that's not it. That's not it. Actually, be a little bit warmer, but then I'm gonna make it gray. I'm telling you, I think I need cadmium in these areas. It's pretty close, but it's going to be warmer. You do studies, good. I'm really liking your work that you're posting on Instagram too. That's good. You set these goals. See, we need more saturation in the midtones is what we need. Randall, what's up, buddy? Da Vinci spoke of looking at moss on a wall and seeing battles, faces, and Madonnas. It exercises your imagination. It kills time. That's interesting. I have to try that. I see battles and everything, honestly. Okay. That man was a genius. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to push the dark values. I'm going to push the dark values, and I'm going to give this a glow, but that's going to come in the not so distant future. Bring this down just a little bit. So you can constantly correct this. There we go. And then I'll take this off for you. There we go, so you can see it. It's a little bit better. There we go. And then this angle's obviously off. Comes down like that more. There, and then it cuts there. That's, I think, a little bit better. Something like that. Kind of bullshit. It's fine. I'm drawing a lot. Okay, now let me actually go in with the light brush here, lighter brush. And you know what? Let's do a little brush mixing here. You don't always need to have it all mixed up, though I do recommend that. This. I know it's too much. I know it's too much. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over it again. Take that. Squint. And just put this paint here and I can work it in. Same thing here. See what we're doing? I'm going to take some of this and work that in. And I'm going to go over it completely, but I'm just kind of using it to just get the basic impression of everything. Now let's go over this completely up top. There, just a little. I'm doing a combination of sweeps and drags and pokes on it. I'm going to step back. And then I'm going to take the same brush, kind of get it in between, squint, get the drawing in my mind, go in. It's a little bit lighter than I expected. I'm going to go in with the brush that was kind of over there and lighten it. It's the brush, sorry, I was using a brush that was in this value range. I'm going to go and bring this value range brush to this, okay? I'm using the color saturated with frickin' ultramarine blue. Color, what Francette are you using? Good old Leonardo must have really good moss. Carmine questions, the Da Vinci. Must have had good moss. Okay, this should be a little bit darker. Yep, I didn't want it like I want to kind of have it fade. I wanted this to, like the light to fade. I don't want it to be totally disconnected. So I'm just kind of fading this area right here. Push this in. This part I'll bring up, but with a warmer color. There. We're going to saturate this with color. This, we have to keep in mind, has white. White is colorless. So in its essence, it kind of grays it out a little bit. All right? It kind of kills the color a little bit, if you will. If you will. All right. Take some of this. So I'm working, each brush has kind of a range of colors I'm working in. Take this value range brush, bring it up to this value range a little bit. Saturate it with some color, but try to push the light, like the light value up. I'm going to take this and kind of, the brush right here, you can kind of tell it's kind of arched this way. So if I wanted to cut into it, I would turn it to the part that's pointed. And I could cut into it and go into it, like if I wanted to cut that and make it sharp, I go into it there. But this part right here, I want it soft, so I'm going to kind of brush up against it with that slowly arched edge right there. And at the same time, I'm going to kind of like drag some of that. I'm just being very slow with it, very slow and intentional. And that way, I'm making a transition, and then I can kind of drag this down some. I'm going to bring some of this value down in here, but I have to make sure it doesn't get too light. So in this way, we're kind of sculpting. And so this part right here might be a little bit dark. Yep. So, whoops, got some on my camera, but that's okay. Go back in here, saturate it, maybe add a little bit of yellow, which will add a little bit more chroma. And then let's come back into it here. This is going to mix with this part right here. So I'm going to take it on that curved edge. So remember, this is like, I've been talking about being very conscientious of what's on your brush, right? So in this way, we're kind of unifying these values. Now, we're not working with cadmium. Cadmium would really benefit us right now. It really would. I'm going to take this color. So if we need some, we can add some, but let's see how we can do without it. Take this, I'm going to kind of, I'm squinting down, I'm just going to slowly bring it in some. So when you add blue, it cools it off, it darkens it slightly as well. Darkens it just a little bit, so let's bring this down. So I'm really trying to think, you know, there's warms and cools. The reason why I got this pair was, y'all can probably guess, that red on it is quite nice. Quite nice, it's quite nice. This is kind of nice. So now I want this soft, but I'm going to cut down between there. Okay. So y'all see how slowly I'm going with this, right? I'm going pretty slow with this. You don't need to go fast. You block it in, you're going to make some mistakes, but you correct it. And we can continuously correct, but I don't want to spend all day correcting this stuff on the stream. I want to get to the point because I need to work on that. This part, there's a slight value right here, and I'm just taking, I'm going across the form like this. I'm kind of pulling down into the shadow shape here. Careful not to really lose it. Okay, like that. Bring that up some. And I'm going to get some blue and really push that blue. In fact, I might just keep it here. Let's see how that does. I just kind of kept it there. This might be too blue. I'm going to test it right here. I'm actually laying some on it instead of kind of pulling at this point. Let's try it. Let's see how this works. It's kind of mixing with the underneath side of it. And then let's work this transition some, which I think it should be a little bit warmer. All right. So we can definitely push these colors some. We can definitely push the colors. What's holding it back right now are these grays, especially in the midtones. All right, especially in the midtones. It's holding it back. You know, and again, that's how we started. But you know, it's a great frickin' lesson. It's a great lesson. Because what if we started with cadmium and blue, and maybe, and I'll do a study at some point, you know, not the next stream, but down the road I'll do one where we can just use whatever colors we want and we can really compare the two and see the difference between them. But again, when you're first starting, knowing how far you can push the colors, I'm going to take this knowledge into my other work. Now I can say, oh well, I already trained in a pair, I know everything's bullshit. You know, you can always learn stuff. You can always learn much more about this. Just picking randomly from Frank Frazette. Just doing black and white studies. Love the fun set to use artwork rather than gouache. This work is beautiful. I'd be happy to be able to do backgrounds like his. Me too. Right now, I am focusing on style of simplifying anatomy. Cool, really cool. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to now add, I'm going to add a little bit of cadmium to this. All right, we're going to add some cadmium and see and observe what happens, especially in these areas right here. We're going to really see this pop forward a significant amount, which is really going to be a lot of fun. So we added some blue, and now when we add cadmium, and normally I put it right here, but there's not really room, so I'll just put it over here. That's okay. Can you see that? You can't really see it, but there's cadmium over here. I'm not going to move the palette for it. There we go. All right, now let us add, I'll just modify these colors right down below, just a little bit. Right, see, this is really going to pop forward a significant amount. There we go. So we can put cadmium in, but I can also heat them up now because I'm really pushing the green, okay? Really trying to push that green. So you see kind of, hopefully you see a little bit of a difference in what I'm doing. Granted, this has some yellow ochre in it, and that's okay because it's a pear. And the reason why a lot of academies do pear studies is because pears have muted colors for the most part. It's not a lemon, it's not a lime, it's not an orange, it's not a cherry. Those have very powerful high chroma colors. But just like in skin tones and the figure, they're more muted. You're going to have those gray colors and you're able to get away with painting from more of a limited palette, which is quite nice. That's why they do pears. And it's also almost, you know what? Even the form of the pear, you know, each pear is a little bit different. It's very organic in shape. Right? It's very organic in shape. Now, here's the cool thing. If I need to dull these out, I just go up in here. Now, look at how these colors compare. I know they didn't look this green before, but they looked greener than this, and now this looks like I put red in them. If you looked at this and looked at this, you'd be like, this has red in it, but it doesn't. This has black and yellow, and that's it. There is no red in these colors up top. So, do y'all see why I did this? Like, I developed this. The reason why I did not start with these colors was to show you what happened when you add them, right? Because we could do a pear study, like a normal pear study. But this really shows us exactly what happens with color. So like, we kind of added an extra element to this. And think of how you can use this in your own work, right? In Queller, I'm going to be doing that video that you wanted me to do. Like I am. I'm actually, don't hold me to it, but my goal is to have it for next week. And I'm thinking of doing it like this. I'm thinking of doing like maybe an orange, but doing it in flat light, right? Not set, because if I set it up in that setup over there that I have, like you can see a shadow and stuff, it's easier. And maybe I'll do a slight, you know, I can explain that, do a slight demonstration or what have you on it. That's fine, I don't mind doing that. But you know, in reality, if you look at an orange, for example, and it's in flat light and it's just totally flat, you know it's an orange. How? Well, you must be able to express that in paint. So, which is what you wanted. You want to know how to, like the red balloon, you want to be able to, how do you block it in and make it look like that without looking like just some random blob of whatever. Like, you want it to look like that in the very simplest of stage. That's what we're doing. So I'm thinking of how I want to put that together. So getting back to this, these two colors are a little bit too close. That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. This right here is more of a highlight because honestly, this pear doesn't really have like strong highlights. It just doesn't, right? It doesn't. So here, let's just we'll lighten this up some just for the sake of consistency. Okay. Now, here's the other thing. I mixed a lot of paint for this, and there's no way that I'm going to use all this paint. So you might be thinking, oh, what a waste of paint. This is good practice. It's not a waste of paint. You need to know how to mix, right? This knowledge comes with a little wasted paint, quote unquote. I'd take it. I take it. I take it. I take it. I'll include a bad example. Yeah, and your thumbnail, it's pretty good. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll definitely do that. There's this awesome channel on YouTube called Ristic Studies that does a great job of breaking down the art in more classical art lens. Okay, Ristic Studies. Ristic is R-H. H-Y-S-T-I-C Studies. It's the channel. Oh, there it is. Got it. Nice. I was looking for my other sticky pad because this one's kind of filled up. Got it. Cool. All right. Now, we have the cadmiums. Now, those greens are a really nice, beautiful greens, especially if I kind of steamed over them. Let me do this, guys. This isn't going to take long. I just want to increase the saturation of the colors on the palette because they're a little bit washed out because of the light, so just give me a second. Y'all will be able to, if it gets too saturated, I'll undo it, the face cam. And we're gonna go with filters, edit filters, color correction, and let's add a little bit of saturation to it. Okay, just making sure it was saturating. That's like, I know that was a lot. Trying to see. I'm trying to saturate the colors a little bit more for you guys so you can actually see it. That's a little bit closer. It's just a little bit too, maybe if I, okay, what was that at 1.5? Move that down some. What does this do? This probably makes it, oh yeah. Don't want to do that. And then this makes it more red. Okay, so is that 1.5? That's how it was. I think it goes down some. Let's try that. I think that looks a little bit closer to me about how it is. Okay, that's closer to what I'm seeing. That's closer. Let me just add a little bit of white. That's a little bit closer. See, I adjust these things, guys, because I want y'all to see what I see, and it's a little bit difficult with this stuff because everything's, you know, cameras are weird. I recommend Thomas Dushek. I will check out Rush. The channel swatches did MTG art challenges with critiques from MTG art. Write that down. We have Thomas. Where did I see that? Oh yeah, Thomas Dushek. All right. Yep. Okay, cool. Look this stuff up. Where did I put my brushes? They're over here. All right, let's get back to it. So, I want to increase my saturation, especially in the shadow areas. And let me just mix also. This is what I wanted to do from the start, to be honest with you, but for the sake of being limited, I did not do this. All right, so here, and then I'm going to add just cadmium, just a little bit, and this is going to make it nice and deep and green. And this is what I wanted, right there. This is how you get those green shadows, just this. But also, to give it a little bit of a kick, add a little bit of ultramarine blue. So we have black, ultramarine blue, and then this up because I can't see because it's in the shadow. And I just got blue all over my finger, and then I spread it on the palette just now when I touched it. And we're going to take some of this and mix this in here. There we go. Let's try that. There we are. This will be our dark, and if I need to lighten it, I'll just lighten it, not with white, but with our cadmium that you cannot see that is there. There is cadmium there. Cadmium yellow. I'm very new at MTG. My husband requested an altar for him for lighting bolt. I've been putting it off. Altars scare me. Okay. Pull this up some. I might have to adjust this. It was actually falling off. Okay, no, it's actually fine. It would have sucked if that thing fell. Okay. Now, we can actually green this out, which is going to be quite nice. This is going to be fun, guys. This is fun. This is what I enjoy doing. There we go. All right. And that is a beautiful color. That is such a beautiful color. All right. It's darken. Okay, now I'm going to go into the midtone area. Add some of this right here, and I'm going to actually add a little bit of red. This is so green, but it's powerful enough. This is what I want. So I'm trying to give it a little bit of a kick, just a little bit. Add a little bit of walnut oil to it. That's pretty close right there. I'm going to come in here and just slowly start adding this in here. There we go, just kind of pulling it down. And this is going to be a little bit more grayed out than we have it, but I'm going to come up in here, add a little bit of cadmium yellow, a little bit of cadmium red, give it a little bit more of a kick, and then I'm going to come up right here. Bring it up here. There we go. Kind of drag this down some, just a little bit. And then we're going to come up here. Take a little bit of cadmium. Come over. And this is a little bit, this is powerful. But it's okay because we have it kind of grayed out. So I'm doing that thing where I kind of pull it into the other paint. And that's how we're working. Same here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this, but then I'm going to lighten it a little bit. Right here. I'm going to come up in here. Start pulling it down again. There we go. seconds. I still listen. Hearing your thought process is very instructive. Okay. All right. It's good for me too. I'll pick it back up. Okay, so right now I was trying to actually, I was exaggerating. I was playing more with the cadmium red and the cadmium yellow because they have more of a kick. And I used a little bit more than I normally would going into the paint in the warm side of it because I had graded out before in trying to convey the lesson of how it is when you actually add ultramarine blue, how it is when you add cadmium yellow. So in other words, I was exaggerating the color in the brushwork that I had to negate how gray it was before. Now what I'm doing, I'm simply trying to make this turn. I have some drawing issues that I'm going to fix, but this is actually in a very good place. One thing that's going to push the light forward is me darkening this, because as you can tell, we have ivory black right here, and this is as dark as we can go. However, we have not accounted for whole, which I'm not going to use on this because this is a Pear study, but we can definitely, and we can probably even get darker than that black. So I think it would benefit me greatly to work on the shadow underneath the Pear to help key it. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually take some black here. I'm going to bring it up towards the ultramarine blue. I'm going to take some ultramarine blue. And, you know, I'm not going to add alizarin crimson, but if we had that, I could take that. Okay? And then I'm going to add a little bit of walnut oil just to make sure it flows smoothly over and I mix this properly, because frankly I'm looking at the palette at an angle, and so everything's like kind of grayed out right now. So this is going to, watch the shadow right here. Can y'all tell a difference? That's pushing the value darker, and it is going to mix with the with the cadmium red underneath. It will do that. There we go. So we have this, and I'm pushing it into the shadow. Now if I keep on mixing this, it's going to get a little bit lighter. So what I'm doing, I'm not really pressing in, I'm kind of hovering over the top with the brush and lightly brushing it in. All right, and so that's how I'm getting the shadow. So now I'm going to step back and I'm going to squint down. And I'm going to say, okay, let's take let's go and get our dark green brush, and we're going to work the underside of the Pear. I'm going to wipe it off first to make sure it's nice, and I mixed the green, this dark green. If y'all remember, it was ivory black, cadmium yellow, and some ultramarine blue. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to go into the actual Pear with it. I'm going to start on the outside of it, and this is actually quite nice. I like this. And I'm going to go through and just paint a nice even coat on it, and that's actually a very beautiful color. I think it could get a little bit darker right there. So I'm going to go in with our mixture here and kind of scoop it up onto the brush, come over here and add it in. I'm going to take a little bit more ultramarine blue to darken it, and then a little bit more ivory black. So essentially this pile right here has the cadmium, ultramarine blue, and black. I just took more ivory black, ultramarine blue to negate the cadmium, because the cadmium is a lighter value and this needs to be a little bit darker on the side. But this cadmium value works for around here. And what that's doing, why this is so important, is because that cadmium is pushing the color. All right, and so color is also what makes things turn, what makes things look three-dimensional. I'm going to take this same value, I'm going to kind of brush along here, and I'm using downward strokes to kind of try to get rid of the reflection that you guys see. And then I'm going to go across here, but then I'm going to go down again to kind of mesh it in some. Good. I'm going to wipe this off just a little bit. And paint directly on top of the card. Okay, alter is where you paint directly on top of the card to change it. Anyone else having their chat freeze? I keep having to close chat and open it back up to see all the messages. Let me make sure the stream health is okay. It says the stream health is good and it's an excellent connection, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that. That sucks. So now this value right here is actually a little bit lighter Y'all probably can't tell that, but it's a little bit lighter than what we had right here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to squint, and I'm going to go and do downward strokes right here, just because, like I said, the reflection. And now we're really putting some saturation into these shadows. This is a huge step, because shadows, if you do not have color in your shadows, it will kill the work. It will kill the work. But I still hold that it's more important to get the drawing correct. And now I'm going to add a little bit of cadmium. I'm going to come in with some light here. So I'm going to take it right here. And this whole area, again, is ivory black, ultramarine blue, and cadmium. There's no red there. I'm not going to put red in, because then I'll have to deal with that. It will dull down what we're doing. Our goal right now is to make something that looks dead and dull more lively, right? So in other words, we're trying to add chroma where we need to. So now we have this, I'm using cadmium yellow to slowly add some light into this area right here, into the darker shadows, to make it turn from dark to light, okay? Or I'm sorry, from light to dark. At the same time, since it's cadmium, and I'm not graying it out with red, because red's the opposite of this green color that we're mixing. So if I wanted to gray it out, I'd just put red, and it would turn it more towards a brown. That's not what we want. We want pure green for this. All right, it's going to mix enough with what we had underneath. And I'm applying now value and color, and this color is going to make this come alive. So it's a twofold thing we're doing, and I'm pressing it in and trying to make it pretty smooth. And if it gets out of control, if it gets too caked up, simply scoop some of it off, wipe your brush off on a napkin or the palette, and then just continue. So I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to slowly feather the edge down here. And so we have the paint, and so we can continuously work. Now I'm going to take this value right here, and if y'all remember looking up to the Pear, we have this dark value right there, but we want it to turn into the light. So I'm going to take this brush, and it's okay if I make this a little bit lighter, because I can always go pretty dark with it. So this is pretty saturated with color right now. I'm going to squint down, and it might be too much, but I'm depending on the underneath part to kind of dull it down just a little bit. All right. So I put this here at first, and I realize it's too light, but I look and I realize that I can put this color here, and this is where it's needed anyway. So sometimes you mix a color for a certain area, and then you're like, wait, that's too dark or it's too light, but it works over here, ooh, and that's how you'll save time. So you don't need to be like, oh crap, it's not right, so you go through and mix it again, and then you mix. You might go through mixing like 5 or 6 different colors that you actually need. You just need to open your eyes and find them. So that's one way you can save time as well. All right. So, go back in here. I'm going to darken that a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine blue, because I want it dark, but I don't want it dead, and black will deaden it. So I'm going to take this and add the ultramarine blue up here, and I'm going to kind of blend it with the shadow, and I'm going to do a combination of horizontal and vertical strokes to kind of mesh it in, and then to ultimately get get rid of the reflection that keeps on appearing with this setup in particular. So now I'm kind of pressing the paint in, because I put a light value on it right here, so I want to take that light value off, so I'm actually pushing it up with the bristles, and so that way I darkened the transitional value, put color into it, and got rid of the incorrect stroke that I had before. All right, so now I'm going to take this same brush, and this is a transparent. I'm finding it is very good to have this type of brush is working very well with getting midtones and even the dark right there. And I can do that with this brush because it's really, I'm just messing with ultramarine blue and cadmium yellow. So I'm gonna take this and then I'm gonna squint down here and I'm gonna actually see what I can do up here. Let's see if we can bring this up top. And that's actually a very beautiful color. And I'm pushing the color a little bit here. There, and then I'm gonna feather it off on the side. The brush is arched. You see it arched? It's arched going up like that on the left side. So I'm using that left side to softly touch this part right there, and that creates a very soft pull to it. All right? And then we're gonna take this, and I'm looking at the drawing here, and it kind of comes in, and I'm gonna kind of wisp it down this way, just a little bit. And it picks up some, it picked up some light, which I wanted it to do because I wanted it to fade, right? So I wiped the brush off, okay? And then I'm going back into it in this area right here, and I'm gonna get some ultramarine blue, a little bit of cadmium yellow, and really make this, like, I'm really saturating the color, again, to negate how dead it freaking looked at first. Let me catch up on chat for a second. I know I enjoy hearing what you guys are talking about too. Not me, Jamie. It's working for me. Me too. Well, I just got a spoiler for my palette filled packs box clear. It should be interesting to say the least. Guys, in your boxes. Oh, what is it? I just got my scroll box in the mail. Attention to Lewis while he is painting. You do your thing. I'm always going to be doing this, so you'll have plenty of time to listen. And it's good practice for me, so don't worry about it. Oh, that's so exciting. Nice, Claire. I get my car fixed soon. I'll join you. So you're, Claire, you're fixing the car, like that back piece that was messed up? Is that what's happening? Because you've been meaning to do that a long time. So that's good. All right, so this shape is going in too far that way, but I'm not so concerned about that. Like, we set it up where I can always bring the light over into it, but let me take this. There's a value here. It definitely needs to be darker. That's all right. Then we'll just paint them what I think a good transitional mid-tone will be for that. So at least we have it. All right, let's do that. Now, let me do this. Let me do this. I'm gonna wipe the brush off. And that was my dark red. Maybe what I do, I'm gonna go down in here. I'm gonna get a lot of black. I'm gonna get some ultramarine blue, and this is my warm brush. I'm gonna get just a touch of the warm color there. So we have ivory black, ultramarine blue, but then some cadmium red, not green. And I'll use this as my background. Why did I put blue in? Because the blue will actually darken it a little bit more. It will darken the black. So that really isn't as dark as that can go. And I'm gonna go and put this right up next to this. There we go, and we're pushing the values. That's what we want. There. And I need more of it. Get some medium. I'm just going to paint pretty thickly at this point on top of there. There we go. That's fine. Just bring it down. A little bit darker, which is nice. It's okay. It's a little bit warm. In fact, I'll go back over it a little bit. Mix that warm into it some, but we're darkening the value. Now, how could we do this better? Next time I could just start with this and then go in with the red, see? So just because we don't do it right the first time, doesn't mean that we can't do it right the next time that we do this stuff, right? But I will say there's, again, I wanted to start this way to prove like the value of colors and just a good exercise to use to push yourself in seeing colors and understanding what they can do. Right, so now I'm going to go in with the dark value here. I'm going to sculpt the edge of the pear. There we go. It needs to fade. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to fade this in. But you'll notice if you fade it, it like makes this grayish edge. Right? So we need to get the value, how dark it is, but we need to pay attention to the color of what we're doing. There we go. A little bit up top. Slowly. There we go. So I increase the color of it. That's what we do. Body shape today. Body clarity. You know, Queller, I pay attention to everybody here as much as I can, but I do forget a lot as well. Not just a pretty face. Great looking piece. The great stream and discussion too, always. Hey, thank you. Oh, Clara's taking off. Bye, Clara. It's good having you. Clara yesterday had a really good conversation piece. She says, "Is it cheating to trace? Is that cheating?" And then it morphed into, is it artistic, right? Are you less of an artist for tracing? It was a really interesting conversation. It was very interesting. It was fun. I had a good time. Oh, almost fell backwards. Now, this piece needs to come up. There. Like that. There we go. Something like that. There we go. So now we can kind of make this, we're making this sucker pop some. Let's see how it looks on the stream. It looks okay. Now, what could fix that? What could fix it? What could fix it? Well, the drawing, this transitional edge could really use some love, right? Goes in some. Always step back, constantly critique your work. All right, I'm going to take a break from working that shadow edge up just for a second. I'm going to go into the lights. And I'm doing this to constantly switch it up from my mind, from my eyes, so I can see more things. Those Tuesday's discussions. Now, did I say yesterday? I meant Tuesday. I watched that documentary about the projection painters used the camera oscura. Yeah. All right. Let's go into kind of the lighter area slash, you know what? This needs some work, doesn't it? Quite a bit. Everything needs some work. There we go. So this mix between. So I'm going to go and add this. And in fact, instead of, we're going to cut a step out really quick. So you might know what I'm going to do. Here. Now here's a little trick. Right? It might be hard to mix like that, right? Wrong! Well, here's a way to do it. Take it here, flip it, and just swirl around. So it's the top, right? This is how it's looking. And make sure, yeah, you guys can see it. And I'm just kind of doing this. Kind of do a figure eight, move it around, flip it on the side, and it will mix. And then you can kind of scoop it, keeping it on the tip, press it down, scoop it, tip, press it down. There we go. And that way we mixed in a little, it's the size of my thumb right there. That's how you mix like that. Let me add a little bit more cadmium. Yalla. There we go. And we'll do that trick again. We'll do this. Key is if you want to mix in a, you know, sometimes when you mix and it's like taking up the whole palette. Use the tip of the palette knife and that'll help. And then just focus on staying in as small of an area as you possibly can. Flip it. There we go. So I'm just using the tip right now. I'm just kind of mixing it around. And then I'm just going to scoop it, wipe it, and and I'm keeping it on the tip. There you go, keep it on the tip. There you are. That's not bad. That's all right. So that's very green. Why did I do that? Because instead of I was going 1, 2, 3, I can just do this. Come in here, all right? If I want it wider, I just do that, but I've put the blue in. It saves a step, it's quicker. Boom! Okay, now I'm gonna come in, and this is kind of the darker area, and I'm having to negate the grayness that lies underneath, okay? So that was my light brush, and I didn't want to do that. So I'm gonna go with a slightly darker brush here. Here, do this, here. This actually might be too light as well. Squint, I'm squinting down, and it unifies the colors. This is blending underneath. There we go, it's blending underneath with the gray. This is very gray underneath. Step back, see how that looks. It looks like crap. All right. Go in here, add a little bit of cadmium. Step back, squint, look at the value, admire my handiwork. Realize the handiwork is not to be admired. And go back up and slowly paint it in. There we go. There we are. You slowly bring it in. Slowly, slowly. That's how we do. That's how we do. I'm trying to do the details on it. I am honestly trying to just get kind of the main light shape of it. All right, let me, speaking of light, I need to bring some light up into that top shadow shape that I did. Here. It's very interesting. I think I already mentioned this, but I feel that if you trace, you deprive your audience of your personal marks, which is part of what makes it yours. Very well said, and I agree with that. So these paints coming in are supposed to be able to be diluted with water. How the hell does that work? Normally oil and water don't mix. Leonardo da Vinci must have freaking invented that. Yeah, so I agree with you, Quellar. I agree with that, man. Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's a compromise that's overmodeled. I think it's a compromise that is made, people make it, and for whatever reason, I do believe that in the very beginning, your work will look probably better when you trace, but the trained eye is always more precise than the tracing. It always is. It always is. It's always more precise. Let me push these over this way, that way. Just up some like that. Something like this. Something here. See how that looks. Let me get my mirror. I haven't really been looking at the mirror that much. Start pushing those lights a little bit more. Now I don't mind going in with a little bit of medium because I have the paint built up for the most part. It's not going to get too soupy, I do not believe. Now we want to kind of unify, so I'm kind of pressing some like this and trying to keep it a little bit brushy and thinking of the impression. And I don't want to overdo this, but I'm slowly, incrementally bringing it up some in value, bringing it up, lightening it some, right? This is going to need to lighten up some too because it needs to turn just a little bit. You know, lighten some. Then we'll work the shadow edges and such, or rather the shapes around it. All right, so the way to tell warms and cools is not to simply stare at one area. Look at the whole thing. And if you look at the whole thing, you'll see this area is grayed out, but it's a little bit warmer grayed out, especially up top here. It gets a little bit darker but cooler down here. But this value right here, this is still going to be warmer. It's going to be the same value as right here, but this is going to be warmer. This area is going to have, this transition right here is going to have the most like green in it, straight green. This is going to be very similar to this area right here. So that's how you look at it. It has to all compare to one another, and then you have to put it in, which I don't have. It's very easy for me to say. It's harder to do. I love how suddenly everyone was left-handed. Oops, Norman Rockwell, American Illustrator, used projectors to keep up with his workload. In person, his work has beautiful surfaces he could draw. You're saying because it would they had to flip it and then it would look like left-handed or something? Is that why? Well, it's like this. The question was, is it cheating? And my answer was, that's very general, but I think it is cheating in general. But specifically, if like a illustrator, somebody or a graphic designer wants you to do something, tracing is a viable method. If somebody comes up and says, I want my dog in just this exact photo, I don't care if you trace it or whatever, but I want it done in paint, you can do that. All right, you can do that. That's not cheating unless you go through and say, hey, this is my work. And in which case, Queldar, I cited, I didn't say who it was. Partially, I did forget who did this, but remember on Instagram, and that person who was saying that they did all this work, but it wasn't. It was more or they were saying it was free-handed, but it wasn't. Remember that person? And it was photoshopped, and we kind of figured out that it was, or you did. That's cheating, because you're telling people that, you're telling people that you did something that you didn't do. That's cheating, right? But then it then it morphed into, well, is it artistic? I don't think so. I think the only viable thing being an artist like tracing would be to do a transfer drawing of what you've already literally done. You did a drawing and transferred it onto canvas. That's not cheating. But if you're using but tracing's the tool, that was one thing. It's the tool. That's irrelevant. It's a freaking tool. It's cheap. I wouldn't do it. I definitely wouldn't do it. I think it deprives you of all the lessons that you could learn in your work. What about those who draw with pencil and then transfer on canvas to paint? See, there's nothing wrong with that. That is fine, Carmina. That's what I was talking about. Transfer drawings, that's totally viable because you did the work, right? I'm talking about having a photograph and tracing it and doing a painting off that and having it underneath or whatever. That's cheating. And the reason why that's not going to be artistic is you cannot push your work as far like that in the end, right? Down the road, you're going to be depriving yourself of so much learning and expression, right? Because I'm telling you, the artist who has trained in technique and has honed their skills and trained their eyes, that eye is sharper than tracing. It's actually more accurate than a trace is. So that's totally different, man. There's nothing wrong with that. I do that, was taught that. There's nothing wrong with that. You did the work. Right. Randall, back is the reflecting mirror days. Back is the reflecting mirror days, 18th century. Suddenly everyone was holding their swords in left hand. Oh, I see. Yeah. Because it was flipped. I think that person just took photos and threw a filter on them. Yeah, and that's even worse. That's even worse. You have to have integrity as an artist. You have to. right? Or you should. I guess you don't have to. I think you should. All right, let's bring the light value up in the warmer side of things. Here. This is a lot, right here. This is a lot, but it's going to mix with what's underneath, and it might be too much. I actually might need to add more red to this, but let's see what this does. I'm going to squint down, and I'm just looking at this whole thing, and okay, this is actually working. I'm going to bring this up here and just kind of lay the paint. Okay, and let's do that again, and we'll vary the colors up, because you want to have varying colors, and this is what I'm talking about. Like trace, can't really, I mean, I guess you could do this and you could get artistic to a degree with it, but this is, I'm making a conscious effort to put a little bit more red in this one. This might actually be too bright, but let's see. We'll just mesh a little bit in, and I can always, the more I go over it, I can kind of bring the value back down a little bit with it. And you don't want to push this too far, to be honest with you, but it's okay to push it some. There, so I'm just kind of laying the paint down. Now, I want it a little bit darker, a little bit greener, or, I'm sorry, a little bit darker, but a little bit redder here. Maybe a little bit more purple. I know that sounds weird, but do kind of right around here. So it's a little bit more saturated. It should be a little darker. That's too much, so I'm going to bring this down here a little bit. And I'm going to depend on the underneath part that is gray to absorb this. And I'm going to go over this right here. Just a little bit, okay. I mean, that's close, but there's a transitional value here that we're going to get. I'm going to get it with the same brush. To get that, I'm going to come in with this color right here. And I'm just going to add a little bit of red. And that's, I think, it needs to come down some. This shadow shape is coming too high up. So I'm going to kind of drag it down some. I'm squinting my eyes. I'm not worrying about the transitions yet. Now I'm going to soften that. Step back, see how that looks. I'm going to hit the camera. I'm going to move it. I think we're good. Okay, and then I'm going to come back here, and you know what? Let's get the darker. Wait, this is my darkest dark green. This is the one I want, right? No, that's what it was. Wait a second. Which one was I just using just now? Damn it. Wait, darkest dark green. Oh, I see what I did. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna get another brush. I'm not even gonna explain what I just did. It's not worth it. All right, I'm gonna come here, cross between the two here, 1, 2, and then I'm gonna get some this color here. There we go. I think that's what I want. And then I'm gonna come across. This might be too red. I'm just going to bring this down to work the transition, but I might go back into it with something a little bit more green. I can get away with that, but I'm going to get a little bit more green. Here, 1, 2. No, tracing holds you back as an artist, in my opinion. I think it's cheap. I think it takes away the integrity of the work. I think it makes you a morally inferior person. I think it's actually pretty bad. It's a shortcut that shouldn't be taken. We're living, like, things are better now, but guys, like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, people didn't know as much how to paint, right? I mean, they just didn't. They didn't know how to know all this stuff. Now it's starting to come back, but people make compromises and all this crap, and then it goes away. And you gotta, artists should uphold the dignity of art. It's not up to the common person to do that. It's up to artists. If artists don't have dignity, if they don't have like respect for themselves or their crafts, nobody else is going to respect it. And I think the person who's tracing, especially if they're telling everybody that if they're not saying they're doing that too, especially that person. But I just think it's so cheap. I really do. All right, so now I just need to tie this in together. This red, darken a little bit more. Red. 6 minutes. There we go. It's the back squint. Bring some of this. I'm trying to pull it, kind of a transitional value there, and kind of sweep it up some. And I think I could get some of this here. Yep, that works. Pull it down. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then what we need to do, we need to tie this in together right there. And it should turn a little bit more. That's very poorly done, but screw it for now. Fix that later with other filter on this. Use transfer paper a couple times before, but I don't think about it being cheating at the time. I agree, it is better to learn to do it on your own. Except for those couple transfers, everything else I've done has been freehand. Freehand is much more satisfying. Like if you freehand it and then transfer, there's nothing wrong with it. That's a viable method. People do that. That's totally viable. Again, it's just if you're like, and you know what? Here's the thing. Like if you just want to practice, experiment, if you're bored, you just want, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm talking about like, there are people who do this for their work and they post it on Instagram like all the time. That is not good. Y'all know what I'm saying. There we go. Just tie it in, tie it in. Now we're gonna bring that down some. We're gonna work the shape just a little bit. Here. Oh, there's that green. All right. Unify some of this up top just a little bit. Just over some. So I'm thinking transition, I'm thinking color. The further along you go, the more stuff you're going to be keeping in mind, but you want to have obviously a good setup in the beginning, right? You want to consider a lot of things, like do things right so you're not going to have a hard time like later on and such. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit, the top piece. You go in with this dark value up top. No, why don't I do this? I'm going to actually take some red and kind of push it down some. Let's try that. Let's try this. The Instagram artist sells prints of her art in quotes, and the photographers don't see a dime. Yeah. Right. And that's not honest, and there's no integrity there. But you know, she's the one who will suffer, because at the end she'll make a nice buck for it, maybe. But that stuff is not the way to do art. You're not going to get better that way. You're not going to, there's so much growing that you do through technique. Right? There is so much growing that you do. There's so much stuff. So much growing. It's so important to look at your work and to improve. Not be lazy in your work. Not make those compromises. One of the keys in working by myself, I have worked by myself for a long time now. I could look at that as a weakness, and I kind of have in the past, because I have not gotten out. I have not seen people. You know, I'm kind of a recluse sometimes. That's not necessarily healthy, but there is, if you play it right, it can be a strength. And what I mean is, I've learned that if I'm to continue to grow in my work, I cannot make compromises, right? I can't make those compromises. Well, how do I know this? Because I've made those compromises before and they don't work, and your work suffers for it. Your work does. It's not, not anybody else's work does, and that's why I just think that people who do that stuff are just digging their own graves with it. Now, I'm drawing this in. Obviously, I'm putting like red, and it's going to kind of, I'm trying to get it as clean as I can up against this, and then I'll put the stem in. I kind of forgot to do that. I might be blocking this. Sorry, guys. I need to get this in right. Okay. Let's try that. Okay. And then I'm going to have more there like that. I don't need, in fact, I probably should take that red away there. I probably should have done it there. This is almost straight cadmium. I'm just kind of saturating it, so I'm going to take some here. Okay, so we have it. I'm trying to get a little bit of a glow effect on this, potentially. Maybe not. Maybe I mess up. See, this is what the stuff that makes you, this gives you the knowledge on what to do. Sometimes you'll put it in too much and you'll be like, okay, lesson learned. That sucks. Don't do it again, idiot. You just have to keep these things in mind. I'm going to feather this up. Let's see if I'm blocking this. Kind of. Whatever, it's still higher than I was before. Okay, so now I'll bring some darkness down into it. So I'm going to wipe this brush off. The Witch and Wizard hats I did were transfers from someone else's line work, as the challenge was to paint them in my install, but I noted that when I posted and said it was their line work. They were a fun challenge, but I certainly wouldn't share that kind of work on other pages. They specifically asked everyone to print their line work and use it though. Well, if that's the challenge, that's different. Tagging, what's up, buddy? Doing all right? There we go. Okay. Let's go in with the dark here. A little bit of cadmium red, ivory black, and we're going to put a little bit of ultramarine blue in here just to darken it down some. Not using alizarin crimson in this one. Limiting ourselves here. So I'm going to go up and kind of press in, get this dark, pull. Take it off. Go back into it. I'm going to scoop it up. Now let's come this way. There we go. Let's see, significantly lighter if we go that way. I'm not sure. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, y'all can't see that. I'll have to go over it again. I'll have to go do some vertical strokes with this. Okay. I'll fix that for you guys 1 second. I'll take that glare away here. There we go, got that. Now I'm going to take the same brush and I'm going to kind of feather this area right here just a little bit. I'm really going to bring it close up. Really close up. looks, yeah, it's looking all right. It's looking okay. Janie, what's up? Yeah, that is totally fine. I'm just glad you're here. I'm just glad you're here. It's really good having you. If we could replace Queldar with you, I would do that in a heartbeat, like daily, you know? I definitely would do that. I definitely would do that. If we could replace, this might screw it up, guys, but you know what? Do I care? Do you think I care? No, I don't care. If we could replace Queldar with you. Danny! This might look really, really, really bad. I might screw this up. But it's okay if I do. It doesn't matter. It's okay if I mess this up. Alright, it's not there, but it is here. And then I can come back in with the brush and kind of sculpt it in, which is what I think I'll do. And this is nice because you can kind of build the paint up really thickly with it. This is a small palette knife. Maybe I don't mix that one as much. Let's bring this in some. There. Like I said, this might be messing this up. I'm sure it probably is. This is way too saturated too. I don't want to put that there. I just want to put this in kind of like this area up top. This maybe. Like, I just want to have it kind of be a little bit more thick up top. See, and then I can go back over it with a brush. Possibly. This is not, that's not it. It needs to be redder. And probably a little bit deeper. Where are we looking? Where are we looking? Let's try that. Let's try this. This might be too much here. Just a little, and then maybe I fade it down some. To do that, I just need to bring this way. We do this. And then a little bit of red. Let's try that. This might not work. Let's look at that color actually. Pretty big like that. Okay. Let's try that. All right, so then I can kind of fade a little bit. Let me do something else. I need to get some more light. I haven't, sorry, comments. I know y'all are seeing some stuff. Probably like, what the hell? No, I just went over a wild drawing I did and kind of screwed it up. Right. Wait, who's leaving? Oh, Queldar's leaving. No! See you, buddy. Unless he was kidding. Because I said he was going to replace him. Don't leave this alone. Don't like the palette knife texture on top of the smooth painting so far. Me neither. I don't like it either. You're not into imposter, Gene? By the way, our discussion last time gave me direction in the next drawings. I will